All right. Well, as you know, I like to start with a little hand rubbing and putting them over your eyes to kind of settle in. Okay. So let's see. Well, I picked up a book the other day at the used bookstore. It's William Carlos Williams, who I'd never really read much. I know he was a rather famous poet from the 50s, or 40s maybe. I find it kind of interesting. So I was inspired to write a little poem, which one of my friends saw there was an error in it, which I'll admit to later. Let's see. All right, okay, put the glasses on. Oh, by the way, I'm going to put this on my YouTube, so if anybody's listening to this on YouTube, John Lobdell's Inspiring Poetry, please shoot me a chat so I know who you are. That'd be nice to know. Okay, let me see. This is the poem I wrote a couple days ago. I'm sitting at the counter of Pete's Coffee, looking out on the outside tables. In my hands is a poetry book by William Carlos Williams, the great modernist poet from the 50s. I wonder how many people sharing photos from their iPhones have heard of him. I feel in two worlds. Drinking the strong coffee Alfred Pete brought to this country years ago. My neighbor at the counter is drinking a mocha made with oat milk. I imagine the early Pete's drinkers at the original Pete's in Walnut Street in Berkeley discussing the poetry of WCW. How he revolutionized the new poetry without rhyme and meter. Now he is yellowed pages in a used bookstore. I thought that was a good line.
Yeah.
Famous for his Zen-like poem about red wheelbarrows and chickens. Being a doctor, he saw his share of human misery. And being a keen observer of the existential angst of the human condition, he wrote about it all. The people I'm watching sharing videos inwardly carry those same uneasy thoughts. The stories don't really change. Not for us wearing our microfiber running outfits. Or old WCW, who I picture with a cigarette and a glass of scotch, wearing a tweed coat that smells like my grandfather. It's no wonder I often look at the sky, yearning for that time before all these stories were written. I like that other line, wearing a tweed coat that smells like my grandfather. Well, let's see. Did you read him much in the old days, Glenda?
No, I really didn't.
I'm not too up on the older poets either, but he's kind of interesting. He was a doctor. Actually, from out your neck of the woods in the Midwest somewhere, I think. Okay. Oh, what do I do? I read some from my books. I was trying to find things Thanksgiving-y, but I don't have too many of them. So I have this little one. Once again, the red apricot leaves are falling. Another year passed. Yet in this moment, all the leaves are holding on. Perhaps they are laughing at the wind. When I'm falling off the tree, I hope to be twirling in delight.
That sounds like something I'd write.
I, I think I read this one a while back, but I don't know why it seemed appropriate. It's about another older poet, Robert Frost, who wrote a line calling, "One could do worse than be a swinger of birches." Like Frost's swinger of birches, I grew up far from town, played alone in the redwood forests and the dry, dusty fire roads on Mount Tamalpais, marveled at the fog snaking up the valleys, hot, sweaty skin refreshed by cool. It maybe made me a nature poet, and also, as consequence, a little out of step with the world. Now when busy life envelops me, I want to return to those dusty roads, smell the pristine sage, be at peace in the quiet. Yet I know it wasn't all so pleasant. Loneliness, desires, dissatisfactions were then as now. I have no birches to swing on, but I know about going up and down. I've learned to swing so high I'm nearly in heaven, and I accept the coming back, landing in this uncertainty. Yet sometimes I see it's all in the swinging. Yes, it's good to be a swinger, birches, the coming and going, seeing it's all about appreciating the ride. Let's see, what else do I have? This one's called Memory. I'm sad on this cold and rainy day. Even the sparkling drops on the bare apricot branches don't cheer me. Why? Oh, it's cold on my body. Walking even with an umbrella, my legs and feet get wet. Oh, if only the sun was shining. This memory of happier times becomes a new misery, like something far away in the mist that I can never reach. Memory is the root of all misery. I sigh and look down. When I look up, a sparrow has landed on a branch. Water drops scatter and fall. He looks jaunty and alive, this little fellow. I'm gladdened. Well, I think if that tiny body can maintain inner heat, can accept whatever comes, I can put on lots of clothes and visit the red leaves smiling on the sidewalk. Alrighty. So I got the one about leaves. I guess I think about leaves this time of year. They're falling off the trees. Apricot leaves. Dark clouds to the north. Rain is coming. A flock of tiny birds flying to the apricot tree. Its green and red leaves dance in the wind. Pulling plastic over outdoor furniture, I notice the backs of my hands. Where has time gone? I remember being young. Why was I always so anxious? Worries fall in the wind like the apricot leaves. Let's see, from the first book. I also think of mushrooms this time of year. That's when they're, at least out here in California, that's when we find them growing a lot underneath the trees.
Do you go looking for them?
I never learned how to differentiate the mushrooms,
Then I
but I,
wouldn't try.
but I did have a friend that knew mushrooms, and when I went out with him, I'd find things.
Hmm.
I remember once finding a really big one. I think it's called a bolitas. So I brought it home and ate it with joy. Mushrooms. Hunting mushrooms on this chilly fall day, I spy a Douglas fir. They like to grow beneath, somehow symbiotic. I search all around, alas, finding none. Orange-brown shelf fungus, interesting but inedible, fringe the towering tree. Scaly lichens decorate like ornaments. Soft verdant moss covers the north side. I stand on spongy history of needles, looking up the proud straight trunk. I see a squirrel or a bird has built a stick nest. Under the ridged bark live probably grubs, termites. Strong winds have broken a few branches up higher. How many times has lightning been dangerously close? Nothing you can do but accept it all, I tell the tree. Putting my hands on rough trunk, I feel the steadfastness, the roots anchored in earth. I should move on, continue my search, but I don't want to just yet. They say there's a consciousness in all living things. Unlike this
Take
tree.
panpsychism, which suggests that consciousness, or the mind, is a fundamental property of the universe.
What the heck
According to
is
this
that?
theory,
What the
everything in
heck
the
is that?
universe has some level of consciousness, from rocks and trees to humans and animals. This answer is from scienceabc.com.
Somehow I got in Siri, I guess. How did that happen? Funny. Thanks for interrupting my poem, Siri. That weird. Nothing like a little AI to interrupt. Where was I? Putting my hands on rough trunk, I feel the steadfastness, the roots anchored in earth. I should move on, continue my search, but I don't want to just yet. They say there's consciousness in all living things. Be quiet, Siri. I'm like this tree. I stand feet on ground, head pointing towards sun. I probably harbor a few bad bacteria and not a few dangerous thoughts. No, I don't feel like walking away. I've been walking away my whole life. Sitting down, back leaning against a tree, I exhale the future. This is really the only place I could ever be.
I like exhale. I exhale the future.
Yeah, yeah, another person like
I
that
like
too.
that line.
Hmm. Well, that's all I have of mine. Oh, we should read one of yours, Glenda. Let's see. You sent me some here.
I wrote a new one, but I haven't sent it to you yet. I'm still thinking about it. I had all these different little pieces of paper that had different things written on them, and I put them all together in a poem. It's gonna.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna send it to you this week.
Oh yeah, I did that too. Those are the ones I like to do numbered poems because they can all fit together.
Mm.
Ooh, that's good. You like to know what I'm drinking? I'm actually drinking a little Grand Marnier. I figured I'd celebrate tonight.
Aha!
Warming the cockles of my heart. Okay, there you are. You want me to read that last one? You sent something. Let's see,
Yeah, that's fine.
mercy without judgment. Okay, I'll read that one. This is by
Yeah.
this is by Glenda Reed. Mercy without judgment. A poet wrote that mercy has no judgment. Another writes of rusty sins. Isn't mercy just the way in which we all should live our lives? Free of righteous judgment, and far from the rust of sins. Is my way better than yours? More likely it's just my way. Are my sins defining of my life today? Is this checking? Okay, Brenda didn't come. Okay, sorry. Let me start again. A poet wrote that mercy has no judgment. Another writes of rusty sins. Isn't mercy just the way in which we all should live our lives, free of righteous judgment and far from the rust of sins? Is my way better than yours? More likely it's just my way. Are my sins defining of my life today, or more likely ground to dust by time? Learning to live in spite of the past, isn't that mercy without judgment? And opening my heart to others, praxis, doesn't it come with the fading of their sins? And who decides when sin no longer defines me? Where does mercy become the answer? Isn't it really just an empathetic desire to give away the love we kept in our hearts? Aren't we all really just sins forgiven by the hearts of someone else? By mercy without judgment, and sins ground to dust. Beautiful, Glenda. You really went into those two words. Yeah. Yeah, mercy is a bit above sins, I'd say. In the hierarchy of things. Lovely. Well, okay. What are we doing on time here? A little bit. Well, since I was talking about this book, I thought I'd read a few by old WCW. This is a used book. Somebody's written a lot of little notes in here. Must have been studying. The dance. When the snow falls, the flakes spin upon the long axis that concerns them most intimately, two and two to make a dance. The mind dances with itself, taking you by the hand. Your lover follows. There are always two, yourself and the other. The point of your shoe setting the pace. If you break away and run, the dance is over. Breathlessly, you will take another partner, better or worse, who will keep at your side at your stops, whirls and glides until he too leaves off on his way down, as if there were another direction. Gayer, more carefree, spinning face to face, but always down, with each other secure, only in each other's arms. But only the dance is sure. Make it your own. Who can tell what is to come of it? In the woods of your own nature, whatever twig interposes, and bare twigs have an actuality of their own, this flurry of the storm that holds us, plays with us and discards us, dancing as may be credible. Funny how you took that into nature and twigs. Not sure about the last line. Dancing as may be credible. Well. The fruit. Waking, I was eating pears, she said. I sat beside her in the bed thinking of Picasso. A portrait of a sensitive young boy gathered into himself, waking. I was eating pears, she said, when separately, jointly, we embraced. This one's called Short Poem. You slapped my face. Oh, but so gently, I smiled at the caress. He's famous for this certain poem, but it doesn't sound like him. It's the one with the red wheelbarrow. It's
Mhm.
if I can remember it, something about a red wheelbarrow. Oh, I should look it up. I'll look it up because it's supposedly he is famous one. It sounds kind of Zen-like. Maybe I'll look it up. Let's see. I think like good old Google to find stuff. Okay, it's a short little poem. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rain and water beside the white chickens. What a funny poem. Very Zen-like, huh?
Yeah, that's
I don't know why he's so famous for that one. He doesn't sound like the rest of his poems.
that's probably the shortest poem I've ever heard.
I was reading somebody who made some elaborate meaning out of it, but I don't know. He probably just saw that and said, I'll write a poem about what he saw.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty, interesting. A red wheelbarrow and then the white chickens. Well, let's see. Should I read one more phrase? The snow begins. A rain of bombs, well placed, and is no less lovely, but this comes gently over all. All crevices are covered. The stalks of fallen flowers vanish before this beneficence. All the garden's wounds are healed. White, white as death, fallen which dignifies it as no violence ever can, gently and silently in the night. Do you have snow there yet, Glenda?
No, it's been raining heavily all day.
Oh,
Actually, we had snow last week, but today it's just rain.
yeah, we never get snow here, except in the mountains. It's been raining though, but today was sunny and bright.
I could do without it.
Yeah. Well, one more of his. It was kind of a funny one. Calypso's. Well, God is love, so love me. God is love, so love me, God. Is love, so love me well. That's number one. Number two. Love the sun comes up in the morning, and in the evening, zippity zappity it goes. Number three. We watched a red rooster with two hens back of the museum at St. Croix flap his wings, zippity zappity and crow. Oh, that's it. Okay, I got a couple more minutes. Let me read one of. I'm trying to think of who was a nature poet. I don't know. Thanksgiving makes me think of nature. This is Robinson Jeffers. Lived out here in the coast. Down the coast from me is a place called Big Sur. It's probably people everywhere have heard of it. This is called Joy. Though joy is better than sorrow, joy is not great. Peace is great. Strength is great. Not for joy the stars burn, not for joy the vulture spreads her gray sails on the air. Over the mountain, not for joy the worn mountain stands while years like water trench its long sides. I am neither mountain nor bird nor star, and I seek joy, the weakness of your breed, yet at length quietness will cover those wistful eyes. Let's see, and I got one from Merwin. Let's see what I got. This is W.S. Merwin. The Unwritten. Inside this pencil crouch words that have never been written, never been spoken, never been taught. They're hiding. They're awake in there, dark in the dark, hearing us, but they won't come out. Not for love, not for time, not for fire. Even when dark has worn away, they'll still be there, hiding in the air. Multitudes in days to come may walk through them, breathe them, be none the wiser. What script can it be that won't unroll? In what language would I recognize it? Would I be able to follow it, to make out the real names of everything? Maybe there aren't many. It could be that there's only one word, and it's all we need. It's here in this pencil. Every pencil in the world is like this. That's cute.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Funny if he writes with a pencil. Who writes with a pencil anymore?
Yeah, not me.
I did write it.
I don't even own a pencil.
I did. A while back, I wanted to write something, and all I could find was my carpenter pencil, which is this kind of big square thing.
Yeah.
So I wrote a poem about writing with a carpenter's pencil. Anything can become a poem, that's for sure.
Sure.
Okay, well, it's probably time for Mary. We're gonna get another few minutes, I think. Let's see. Oh, this is one of my favorite. Oh, I didn't know it was in this book. It's one of my all-time Mary favorites. Mary Oliver, for all of you. I'm sure you guys know, but I'm sure on YouTube some people see my stuff. 7 white butterflies. 7 white butterflies, delicate in a hurry. Look how they bang the pages of their wings as they fly. Through the fields of mustard yellow and orange and plain gold, all eternity is in the moment. This is what Blake said, Whitman said. Such wisdom in agitated motions of the mind 7 dancers floating. Even as words toward paradise, they see how banter and riot and rise to the trees, flutter, lob their white bodies into the invisible wind, weightless, lacy, willing to deliver themselves unto the universe. Now each settles down on a yellow thumb on a brassy stem. Now all 7 are rapidly sipping from the golden towers. Who would have thought it could be so easy? I love that last line. Actually, Mary's interesting to read. It's like one long sentence. It's a little hard to know her to. She doesn't give you any punctuation breaks. Okay, here's one called At Round Pond. Owl, make your little appearance now. Owl, bird of gloom. Messenger, reminder of death, that it can't be stopped. Argued with, leashed, put out like a red fire, but burns as it will. Owl, I have not seen you now for too long a time. Don't hide away, but come flowing and clacking. This in the slap of your wings, your death's head, oh rise, out of the thick and shaggy pines, when you look down with your golden eyes, how everything trembles and settles from mere incidents into the lush of meaning. Black oaks. Okay, not one can write a symphony or a dictionary, or even a letter to an old friend full of remembrance and comfort. Not one can manage a single sound, though the blue jays carp and whistle all day in the branches, without the push of the wind. But to tell the truth, after a while I'm pale with longing for their thick bodies ruckled with lichen. And you can't keep me from the woods, from the tonnage of their shoulders and their shining green hair. Today is a day like any other, 24 hours, a little sunshine, a little rain. Listen, says Ambition, nervously shifting her weight from one boot to the other. Why don't you get going? For there I am in the mossy shadows under the trees. And to tell the truth, I don't want to let go of the risks of idleness. I don't want to sell my life for money. I don't even want to come in out of the rain. I like that. I like that. I think of all the things I need to do during a day, and then all of a sudden I think, oh, well, I think I'll rather write a poem.
Yeah. I'd rather read a book.
Read a book or go stand under a tree. Okay, that's a long one. A very long one. Okay, maybe this might be the last one. Called Fox. Why don't you ever know where a sentence will take you, depending on its roll and fold? I was walking over the dunes when I saw the red fox asleep under the green branches of the pine. It flared up in the sweet order of its being. The tail that was over at the muzzle, lifting in airy amazement, and the fire of the eyes followed, and the pricked ears, and the thin barrel body, and the 4 athletic legs in their black stockings. And it came to me how the polish of the world changes everything. I was hot, I was cold, I was almost dead of delight. Of course, the mind keeps cool in its hidden place. Yes, the mind takes a long time, is otherwise occupied than by happiness and deep breathing. Still, at last, it comes to, running, like a wild thing to be taken with its twin sister breath. So I stood on the pale, peach-colored sand watching the fox as it opened like a flower, and I began to softly to pick among the vast assortment of words that it should run again and again across the page, that you again and again should shiver with praise. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Well, I think I'll stop there. And thank you, Julie and Glenda, for keeping me company, and hope you enjoy.
Thank you for reading.
So,
Thank you, Siri, too.
yeah, that was so. Why did she just jump in there? It was not like I hit something. Maybe I did hit something that got her into there. Weird.
She took you to school.
She was going to talk all about consciousness to me.
Yeah.
Okay, Julie and Glenda. And great. So, have a lovely week, you two. And anybody else watching on YouTube? And once again, give me a little note if you're listening on YouTube so I know who you are. And I shall bid adieu for another week. Okay, Glenda, I'll see you next week.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.